And I need you. Ooh, I don't know how to do that part. Girl, I want to be with you. No one else. Oh, my mic. Can I just? Oh, hello. Girl, I love you so. So loud, huh? Girl, if I told you I love you, that doesn't mean that I get. Wait, this is live. What am I doing? I need you. That doesn't mean that I'll never be there. This is what I mean about tricking myself. They turn my eyes into deception. And I'm just demoing this mic thing I made, okay? And goodbye, Cupid doesn't lie. You won't know unless you give it a try. Oh, my cousin, he's so good. He was so good at the background, the emoting one. I don't even know what that is. To trust me, and I could always only do the lyrics. He could always like riff. Is that what it's called? I don't know what it's called. Hold on. I can do anything to please or hurt you. I love you. He would go, ah. I used to be like, what the heck? How does he do that? How does he always do that? Don't misunderstand. In my life, ooh, there's a lot of. Sailor, you doesn't lie. I'm trying to read this. No unless you give it a try. You are alive. Okay, I'm gonna just to get online. Maybe there I'll apply. Maybe. Oh, never gonna go. No. Oh, no, no. What the heck did I write? Magna. What does it say? I managed to get online. Maybe there I'll reply. That sounds like a rhyme. Oh, try. You won't know unless you give it a try. I can't believe this is like live and I'm doing this. Oh, I never need it. I don't know the words. I don't know the words to this song. You love. Oh, I might. Oh, dude. Oh, I forgot to sell my things. Oh, shoot. Should I do that now? No, let's see if I. Let's see how much money I made or lost. Whoops. Whoops. You want me, you Cupid. It doesn't. Some of these songs, they're all like No, I need to like strap this down. I wasn't ready. Trying to understand my body last night. So many times. Oh. How do you do this? What the heck? Where and when I can see you. Whoa, messed that up. Okay, I did it like backwards. Sees me. Okay. Um, what am I doing? Oh yeah, oh yeah. I think I need to wonder. I'm trying to navigate. Turn my hands, my chest. I kinda wax. Okay. Now I'm all conscious now. Do everything you like. Want me to play? I can't help it. The song is on. What? You ever do things? Okay, I need to change this playlist. You're down on my knees. Okay, where's that? I need you to love me. Okay, so I don't need you to care. I'm gonna turn this back on. Just hold me extra. I bet you it's like super loud though. Oh yeah. Get to wear the sexy underwear. Oh. Oh, I hear something weird. Okay, next. This is this is too. Uh, what's that sound? I think there's like a electrical motion from it. Slow motion from it. Ah, okay. See, I work in that back. I know how to act. I just I don't know. I feel like I made something, and then I could change it. But I was gonna I think I went like that whole week or whatever. I think I need to like recapitulate like so much just because like lot a lot happened that didn't happen. That's actually more correct than not. As in, I did a lot of staying still, even though I said I don't think I stay still. That working that back, I don't know how to act. Yeah, a whole lot of staying still, like not reacting to anything. And then I even said, even before the storm, and how that might be the calm before. I even said, "Oh, I'm already over it. I'm ready." There's a point where I said, "I'm already through it." Like, I mean, as in I wasn't there, but then there was a point where I said, "Oh, I think I just passed it," even though it hasn't happened yet. Like, I collected whatever I needed to collect, and I just needed to play it out, I guess. So, I like it like that. Working that back. Oh yeah, so there were some bigger ones. One of them had to do with like it like that. I don't work in that back. Discord. I should put that. No, should I put that up? I like it like that. She working that back. I don't know how to act. Maybe I should just paint. I just need to paint and get in a roll, and I'll just listen to audios, I guess. I think I'm enjoying this thing still too much. There's like so much that I could be doing, and I like it like that. She working that back. I don't know how to act. Mm, I like that. She working that. Okay, what was I gonna do? I wanna fix this. I like it like that. She working that back. I don't know how to act. I think this is when I need to put non-copyright music, or just hear it through my headphones, I guess. And you guys can play your own music if you want. I just don't want the audio to cut out. So hold on. I don't know how to act. Hello, 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 hello. Oh, tell me again, my baby, lovers and friends. Oh. So I was thinking, a lot of these YouTube videos right now, I'm it's like I don't even want to put them unlisted, as in I'm still deciding the approach, as in I can take so many different approaches. Like I don't even have to. I can just go solo. I can just work on something else until the right time comes. I do want to do all this. As in, I can make these YouTube videos and not list them. Only because I just want to make them and like link them. You like that? As in, if it's public, then all this copyright stuff will blank out. But if I just leave it unlisted and just send it to whoever I want to send it to, it's kind of like cheating. But tell me again, my baby. Oh, I just like this song. Tell me again. Mm-hmm. All right, let's do this. Which one do I like? I like. I was doing something. I'm always doing something with shadows. It would be all the way down here. Wait, maybe I should just move it. Shout it, shout it. Oh, I can't move it. Shout it. What the heck? Shout me again. Dude, if that becomes that thing, I'll be. Okay, it's not. In friends. What is this? Tell me again. See, for some reason, I see like the same things. Like this is exactly that, but it's the inverse because it's white instead of the black. Uh, and these are all different. Like this was that one the result from that live stream. Which, hold on, this thing keeps falling apart. Hey, it's a prototype, so I'm just testing. Had to do it again. So how this works, what I like is let's do this. See if I can do it. It's cool that I can actually kind of pull these off now, whereas before I could only imagine how to do it. But this goes like this. So this would be the actual scene. Like if you could see the video, I could actually have the video run, but it would look like this. And basically, I was ugh, to do. It's way too bright though. As in person, it does look like um, it was like this because the pier lined up with the city, and it was kind of what I learned then is that just because that's all the camera can see, or even the eyes can see, like I know this is supposed to be a city back here, or it's not finished, but I'm gonna have to make the city there, and then how it extends to the coast, and then how it becomes this. I just thought that was cool. This is actually my notes. I actually do have it, and I can bring it out. Video time. Dude, all of this is gonna get yeah, I need to get the headphones on because I'm talking. Who am I to judge? So I have all these different projects I could do with just this art stuff. I don't know if anyone's gonna really care, but it's more like my own way of studying, learning. But my way to alleviate that lack of hold on. Ways for my way to alleviate that is to make designs, as in, wow, it's too loud in my ear. As in, like prints, like cool stuff, because I actually believe in that stuff too. And plus, I notice it does make me better at conveying a message rather than just relying on one sense. I guess I don't know, nonsense. Relying on my nonsense. Um, so it's also it's in a way it kind of respects the original journey. Whoa, too bright. I wonder if the other camera sees this. Oh, this is my. So I've been making these papers because the problem with these papers, I'd always tear into them. So I've been doing these different coats so that I can actually just draw on them again without worrying about tearing them up. This was one of them. I think this is. I'm not sure if this is coded. Fall for your time. And then another project was to review all of these because I don't even know what these are. As in, I didn't know how to like Some of these I don't even remember, but obviously there's something. I mean, this one's kind of a little bit easier, but there's some in there. And from what I know, is just because I don't know doesn't mean that I don't know. Like there's something. There's a part that knows. So these are back when I could only do lines. I only knew how to do lines. Didn't know how to color things. I got colored pencils, which made it easier. Didn't look so harsh and like gray blobs. And I think I mentioned before, like the idea that I would copy this from this is not something I would do. But it's kind of how I end up drawing things, and it becomes like that. I don't know how that works. I just notice it a lot, and that's kind of why I like these. Why I even do these live is maybe people will notice that I'm not really paying attention, and then it could be that I'm lining things up. Like right now, that camera angle looks like that, like to that. Is this working? Yeah. The way that it curves, the angle, is the same to me. A volcano and have a with my nuts. Here, let me see if I can describe it. Like I didn't see that. Ooh, whoa, what the heck? Like, well, from that angle, it doesn't look like it. But the angle from the camera screen. Oh, it's sideways. I didn't even notice it. Oh, the things you do. Keep me running back to you. So it's gonna be awkward if I'm hearing music and it's not part of the audio. Hold on. The heck? It's gonna be over. All right. Um. Okay. Oh. I keep getting distracted by the music. Sex and love, all the things you do. I need to fix. Actually, I don't need to fix it, but I'm gonna demo something else. Sex and love. Wait, do I need to change this? Next and up with just one touch. Oh, computer so slow. I erupt like a volcano. Okay, so Dun, dun, once I get my new setup, I'll have all of these like more polished, I guess. I'm just trying to see all the different interfaces I can make and like what works with what. And you know, you gotta try it somehow, test test it out somehow. And I think that is what I do. Um, if anything, if I'm gonna be uh, an actual larger company thing, it would be doing the same things that I do. like I would, I could see myself leveraging the fact that I'm smaller, meaning I can do things that bigger companies can't do, or they can't always test things because they have a larger operation, and that's where the whole prototype part of the lab is there, how it fits, how I would create some sort of way to emulate. It might not be exactly like it, but it's exactly the way I find models of other models that fit the same thing, and then I just follow that model. So as in I can simulate it by using like something that's not even similar, but because I can make that a prototype and it's a lot cheaper to make or a lot more cost efficient. Like I don't need a bunch of like technology and tools to like create a AI machine, for example, or some like life machine or whatever it is. It's like I feel like I have that ability, or I've been doing it now, like with on purpose, and that is where that fits. And it's just a matter of fitting things where they are. Like I'm not even making these things now. It's more that I'm trying to see where they all align, and the more and to the degree that they align is like my interest like will grow actually. And then how I do like to throw in unknowns and variables that are not up to me, just because it's interesting. So I like getting people's input, and I one of the more things that are more prominent or I put to a higher level are when two people's unknowns they align. And those ones, for example, are the ones I'm like, those are interesting because I have nothing. I mean, only I do have a bit to do with it, but then again, so does if it aligns with somebody else's unknown, it's like it just feels like that whole greater than I, which goes to show I don't think I'm good in my own ways, but I think everybody else is good also, as in just whatever it is. That's the whole direction of self-centeredness. I'm not trying to go there. Like I appreciate all things, and at the same time need to know where how to be great because otherwise you're just promoting mediocrity and how you're not really saving any or you're not really helping anybody by like keeping yourself small. And still a lesson I need to learn a lot, many more times probably. But and how it's really only needed when weird conditions arise, and at a certain point you really need to just let that go. Like the need to check yourself, the need for like you know defensiveness when everybody figures out, oh, this is all innocent, right? At some point, we would need to let go of those things, or else you're just like perpetuating the old, like you're creating something that's not really there to create. Just because you keep thinking old things, kind of like what I went through with somebody who keeps thinking like the oldest things, and it's something, and that's new too. It's like this realization that I am this like thing, the screen that is mirroring whatever people think, and perhaps because I think I can survive it, that I will play it out. And how it is what I think it is, where like they're just hurting themselves while they think because I can go through it and whatever, and I'll still come out unscathed, I guess. In a way, I'm scared. I don't know if it's unscathed, as in I still grew stronger from it. Okay, okay, I'm rambling. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. What am I looking at? What is this? Okay, you guys see my mouse? See those raindrops. Oh, tell me this goes into that, goes into that. One is like, I don't know if maybe it's just me that sees it. The similarities, though, that was like so backwards, just like. Um, it's really just the shapes. Like right now, the reg, the lit up part of that looks like that. But on my screen on the computer, which would be the right right window, bigger monitor. This one that has a lag. On that screen, I notice, and this one's kind of far, but just that slope that goes down is the same slope here, except for this one is in 3D. Like it's like if I finished it, it would pop out, and like how I didn't even plan that. But if I went with it, that would mean there would be something there. Oh, that is something there. That's like that eye. I thought it was an eye, but over here it's a face. And this is how I get to that whole stories that write themselves. Like when I'm in one plane, like say I'm drawing here, and then I don't know where else to go. I can cheat by looking at that one and seeing where that goes. So from here, I'll go to wherever. Oh, actually, this I don't even know if this connects, but I'm just saying, if it were to connect, this would be this would be. Well, wait, would be. So that's the eye right there. Maybe there's only one way to make to do it is to actually make it. So the way this slopes down like that is the same thing. I don't see it from this view, but from the other angle, which is the one on this camera, I can see it. It's this sloping down. And it makes sense now that I can see that perspective because this one is actually more this pops out. It goes this way. Um as in I need to fill this in. Or because on from this view it's in between, it's covered up. It would be in there. Which and then that's where I said, well, if that's the case, then what this thing exists there, right? That you can't see in there. But then again, now that I look at it, there is that little thing right there. Right? That could be this, but I don't know. Anyways, and how I didn't even plan that is kind of weird. As in, I could only see it because of this screen. This screen right here. How do I denote that? The right screen. Anyways, that's just some of the weird things I play around with because I'm just trying to figure out how that works and how it can easily be like something so simple that everybody does it. I just don't even realize. Like it's still a question in my head if it's something or nothing or already known or what people would even see as a thing. I do, I do, all I need. I think I could turn this off. I ever leaned in your eyes. Okay, I was gonna listen to the audios, but one audio is actually the one. Well, one of them was in Discord. It was the one with the health stuff and with that doctor, because I actually know that guy, or not know him. I know I've heard an audio of his before, and that actually, for me, I was gonna write in there. I don't know if I did already or I haven't pushed send, but it was long. It would go like, all right, since you found this, then that means you can now go to here, which is the CTE thing, or CIE, CTE, and I think that's where I needed to go find my notes. I don't really know where it is yet, or I haven't really looked. And the reason why that would be needed is now I see a bigger picture. Is there's all these people that hold all these parts, and we I kind of need them to hold those parts down. Because as in this big picture solution that's like so obvious, you know, if you just look at it like as in a different view, right? It's not going to be solved overnight. You're not just going to tell the answer and then magically it just comes, right? It needs to come over time. And I just can imagine there's he that guy, and I don't know if it's gonna get lost, but through my dying day. Let me get my another screen as if if I wasn't lacking any more screens. Would have to think twice. I feel weird that is beyond my control. Say this to you. Okay. I'm looking for my other iPad. I have like so many screens. Oh, and that's another thing that well, that's off topic, but like I want to do this bit. So innovation, like say it's an innovation lab, it's really born out of scare. Like it's has I could connect that with the whole scarcity and how I feel like if we don't get the insights of scarcity and that we still use it as a thing that we dread and like we over polarize into abundance and like we praise abundance above scarcity when scarcity is really how I created all this. This is because I had no, I was limited, but still I had to do. And so I made all these screens, and how it's cool. It's actually kind of fun. Like, here, I'll show a little how, like, I have another screen here, which helps. This is more like one that you guys wouldn't be able to see, but allows me to chat, go to Discord, do things like that. I have my other screen, well, the one that you see over to the right, which is to my left right now, because I'm always experimenting. Um, I also have, well, up there is like the bigger screen, so just like a little behind the scenes. It's kind of all the stuff I see and have access to, and it's really cool because I'm still just sitting here, and how I'm sitting here, and I do have a gaming chair somehow, which is like a streaming thing. Like, how did I get a gaming chair? These are like the typical streamer gamer chair. And I even have like video games in my background, which is really cool. That one's Final Fantasy. Probably everybody knows that. Well, in that culture, and Zelda, like the two, if anything, it would be those two. Those are like the most two epic story worlds and worlds. And I will take. Oh, and I'm not even showing like the rest of this stuff. Like, well, it's not built yet, but I have on here a side panel, which is dumb. I shouldn't be showing this, but because it's not really clean. But this is more scratch paper, because I can just. It's the plastic of a canvas. Again, more scarcity at work, right? It's and how I'm like so used to it. Like I don't even like. I think I'm having way too much fun with scarcity. It's this. Won't you hurt anymore? And now I have everything here. Like I even have a whole palette here with all my. Like I make the weirdest things. Watch. Oh god, I gotta mess it up. So the bad part about this is it's still fragile because they are like prototypes. Like if I really wanted to, if I got too full on this, then I'd invest in it and like really make it like really, But I feel like well, there's always more. There's always more, so I don't really get too attached to any of this, even though I do appreciate all of it all the time. And then basically I just wait till it becomes relevant, like somebody can use it. Then I'll invest more into it. But here's a couple things. So how the this one's messy. That's kind of why I didn't want to show. But in here, well, this one is a cheap trick. But how I use this picture frame thing, and I can use this as like a palette or with watercolors. But right now, I just use it as a. I guess I throw trash on it. But I use it to if ever I need glass. I guess that's oils and stuff. And how that's all here. And I just it's kind of stacked up because I'm like limited in room. I'm in like a tiny, tiny, tiny. So this is what I mean about like really if I look at it the other way, scarcity is like like if I had everything needed all the time, like I wouldn't need to make all this stuff, right? And yet somehow we are always in need of innovation, as in I know that about business is like they have entire like it's like almost like the holy grail of businesses is innovation. Or one of the things I was creating was it's like a hold on, I need to just change up my mic. This is different, right? The whole idea of this is there's different the way I'm rotating it. It sounds different. I don't know how I made it. Like I wasn't really expecting the way, so I can just talk like this. Um, or if I rotate it, it sounds different, and I don't even know the difference. And but I could find out if I really wanted to. Like this could be that ASMR thing. That I don't know why. I mean, I kind of get why it's a thing. It's so popular, and I don't really know what ASMR is other than when you make like sounds like this and it's really quiet, and somehow people like they get this weird sensation out of it. And now I can actually do this because I'm used to talking really quietly because I don't want to be heard. And how that's just weird. But I even made this kind of mic thing because I just didn't even know. I don't know. I just thought of it and I didn't even know the physics of it. I don't even know why it works. And it would basically be I'd have to take it off for you to notice on my other videos just because you hear a lot of like those are stuff I noticed from when I worked at a recording studio and how they have these things you could buy like these mic covers and really like big contraptions that catches I guess they're called gates or I don't know but how I just earlier it looked really ghetto the first prototype of this but it actually looks kind of cool. They even have leather on it. I don't even know how I got leather. It's so weird. How does that happen? See how it's loud and loud, but it's not like there's a that like that. I'd really have where it just overloads. There's a term for that, I bet you, because it happens sometimes. But how I could just rotate it in different effects, like different filters, which is different like software. Like I remember we had different software that would take care of it. But how reliable technology is and software is versus when you can just do this. So to me, those are all like innovation. It's like doing more with less. And then if you could see what we think is more and how I see what we think is more, what's really happening and why there's so many breaks in technology, like it's clear to me like why there would be so many breaks because if you understand code and how those programs are written, like I don't expect them to be thinking 3 layers ahead, you know? Like it's amazing that they can code what they can code, right? They're, that's like that's already the goal. Whereas I'm not even thinking, you know, it's kind of like when I say survivable. I'm not just interested in surviving. I'm like I want to know the best way to do it, the best expression. Like where that idea you take it to its fullest. Like not even if I don't know, just the idea is there. Where surviving is just the minimum, really. Like, and how we can't don't fall into that trap, especially when you have everything at your hands, right? But then the lesson I feel is okay. Well, when we have everything, and I see this now, and it's kind of a conundrum, but I feel like I'm getting to a well, in the process of what I'm doing, I'm actually gaining the insight also. It's like, okay, if we're in a world where we can have anything we want, the problem with that is we tend to miss out the sweetness of each thing, right? What makes each thing valuable, like every little thing. And so that has to do with when I do the pencils. And I've been trying to do this, but I do have a video on it, but maybe since I have a pretty okay setup right now, um, it would have to do with like I'd have to really do a slow motion video for to capture it correctly. But I do have that capability on here. But I don't know if I'll be able to do it all on the fly because I just thought it up. And usually you'd have to like come up with a whole production thing with this. But then again, that's what I've been used to is like switching on the fly, switching between apps, switching between platforms. And normally that would, and I've seen it, normally it would cause me to like trip out or shorten out or just like lose track of which window I'm supposed to be looking at. But it's kind of like how I talk about drawing and learning all that stuff. It's like, dude, first time is gonna be like that. It's always gonna be like that. Like, that's the best time for it to be like that. It's like when you start something, you expect like you're gonna be that great at it. Like, come on. So I'm directing that at people out there right now who think art is like a talent or like only some people have it or some people don't. I think it's more of like a human ability that everybody has and they ought to use because there's so many things that it's not just like for a select few. And that's kind of what I'm trying to show here. Is like, dude, you should see how my a lot of my things are like nothing. They really were just these lines, but it's because I learned to I would before this I've been on this journey of kind of like self-discovery. Well, that allowed for self-discovery, as in part of what was important was learning about the little subtle things, right? And I was afforded that, right? Because not everybody gets to have that or gets to see those things. Um, so this is kind of what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to reclaim what these are. Like, what are these? What, like this? What the heck? Watch, I could tell you. I could show you something on this. What this is, or one thing I noticed that got my attention. Again, it's these like weird angles, but I don't know if you guys can see this. And I would probably have to make this like super 4K, more frames per second. And look, it's funny how I have that in my hands right now. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna record because it might be too much, but we'll try it. Um, I don't know if that's recording. I don't think it's recording. Well, it is. But I noticed I remember when I made these, and then you get at this level, like to me those lines pop out. Like it's a whole like landscape. It's crazy. To me it was. Like sometimes I feel like I could just like touch do that. It's so weird. And that's why I have these like different angles too, so you can see that the paper is really just flat. Well, there's a lag to it, but somehow from this point of view, and you kind of have to not be so drastic. Like you gotta do it slow, or I don't know what it is yet, but your brain or something orientates and I don't even know. Maybe it's just me that can see it. Maybe I'm just tripping. Maybe my eyes are just bad. But I feel like those lines like pop out. And then so like right here to me would look like, I don't know, like another plane. Now from here it looks like it's like a circle, like almost like a volcano because it's flat in the middle. And how really it's up to me how you can start shaping things. I don't know, I just think it's cool. Like right here I can make it a picture. I do see more stuff down there. There's like so many things. And how this jumping of planes, it it just like I'd be interested in that effect, what it makes. And then I know other things where you can make it dark and then zoom in or something. It's like you simulate this like night and day, like you just woke up thing. I know, and that would be like cinematics, I guess. And how you can influence elements and events, or just the emotional stuff. Anyways, these were how I drew, as in it was a lot worse too, because there were just lines and lines. But it's because I could understand because I never did these things. My drawings weren't bad, but they were not drawings. They were symbols like plus, minus, arrows, stuff like that. These are not any symbols. These are just like stuff. So I could understand like, whoa, this is something different. And maybe it's because I have like that scientific approach to things. Like I treat it as like specimens. So actually, this was a good because I noticed this too. So you could tell. Here's my actual drawing, right? Because I think this displays it. So this is the beginning of this sketchbook. I just draw randomly in places, but this would be. So these are kind of like that, but these ones have words. Well, this was not a good example, but this one has some of these are actual symbols, not drawings. Like that is not really a drawing. I don't even think those are. It might not be obvious. It's just me. It's more me because I can tell. So these are my actual drawings. Look how this is. Like me trying to draw something. So it's really kind of like my drawing skills are really bad, right? But then I noticed this book. So this is one I probably drew off of memory, I think. Just because now I knew. So what I learned is just by doing this and making the lines, it's like like I gained some sort of knowledge from it. And I know this because in sales, I used to do this too. Like when I was with a customer, I would always like write on a piece of paper and then display to them, okay, you're here, you're gonna save this much money, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, and how that would like help them, help guide them. Even though if I really looked at it, I'm like writing and scribbling things, like they're not even able to read what I'm writing, right? But somehow it all works. It helps them follow my train of thought. But so and this is all theory still, right? This is just my hypothesis, I guess. Is if you were like to come up with your most educated guess at things, that would be my theory or hypothesis. Um, that this one I drew out of memory, and just because of I did these previous ones, right? And they were bad, but basically I was just trying to, literally trying to draw it, right? And trying to make whatever this is. And you could tell it's wrong because I made a line, and that's not really what happens in real life. There are no lines like that. But the way we see things, there are, right? Um, like I can tell that now. I couldn't tell that before. So this one, that's an hypothesis. But now, if you look forward, maybe not this. This is something else that because I recognize this kind of format. But here, this is where it kind of merges. Where, like, this is something else. This is, I don't know what I can say what this is. Like, this is something else versus that. And why are they next to each other? Like, what would the only because I've seen this elsewhere, and maybe I could point it out. This wasn't where I was going with this video. I never believe. I can't help it. On the other screen, how all of those things like, oh my god, never mind. Like if I were to do, now I'm just playing into it. But if I just shifted this like this way, never mind. See, it, it's better when I do it better when it's by accident than when I actually try. What is this? So this to me are like this. These, and I can show you. You can tell because the way I draw it is like that. Like if I were to, most of the time it's like this. I don't even do that anymore. It's like I just use it however it feels like, and you do this. So part of the video that needed to be in slow motion. This is actually slow motion. Huh? It doesn't need to be, but there's a difference when I do just this versus this. Like when I'm always like rotating it because it in a way I don't even know what it does all the time. I just know it like blends. At the same time, it keeps the pencil sharp. So this is kind of where I noticed at least something that's recognizable. Like as in it's a it's a thing that I saw in a video that was recognized that these people, I think they were these kids from China or something like that, where with charcoal they would rotate as they drew, and it would keep the charcoal sharp. I was like, oh, so I do that, except I do it with colored pencils, which is where having the sharp ends is like a thing I read on a book. Like they always say, keep your pencils sharp because you could do that, like get into things and you know put the pigment in there. But not only that, it does more than just that. Like I can follow these lines really easy like that. It's basically, let's see. I'm gonna see if I can demonstrate this. Okay, stop. Except for it's at the end. I'm gonna redo that just because I know what's gonna happen already. But watch. So this should be a new clip. But what I mean is like how it's kind of the way, because normally that's hard, right? Like to draw, and I think that's why people would draw like this. They would do these little unsure lines, right, instead of long sweeps. Where I'm pretty confident I can do these long sweeps, and how it's really because of that rotation too. And so, while my eyes, at least my eyes, they couldn't capture it. Let's see if in slow motion if it. Now this is the reason why I made another clip. And I'm not too used to this app yet, so like I want to get to the next part. So I'm learning this app on the fly too. So it should be this one. Well, look, I want to look at this one. Now I don't get how this app works because how come I can't like zoom in? Like it's only this little circle that they give me. Hold on. And then hello. Okay. Anyways, so it's not okay. So where's that point? So this one is shot in I think 120 frames per second. So meaning you should be able to catch each rotation, the RPMs. Or okay, that didn't work. I was hoping it'd be right here. These controls are different, but I do have my backup plan. Okay, that didn't work. Hold on. How did I get here? This is this one. Oh, the circle goes the other way? I thought it was the other way. think it would work if I were able to zoom in, but I can't zoom in until you can, but you have to like finalize the video, the edits, and that just takes a while. And I don't really want to wait for it because I could press save or something and it'll. So I probably need to just shoot that closer or be able to zoom in. I can't even see it on the screen; it's so tiny. I mean, I can actually fix that. I can zoom in this way. Just break all the rules. And how even that makes like a weird effect. Like if I did that smoothly, it's like we just went into the circle. But it's not. It's not very clear. So, but I mean, at least I have the means to do it right. Like if I set it up so it's easier to capture, which is all I have to do is push save. But it just takes. I don't want to wait for it to like process, which takes forever with video. Anyways, the only reason why I'm saying this is the thing that I need to do first, or ought to do first. Like I need to create at least a small series pointing this out. Is because, and I'm just gonna get out of this for now. Although I do want to see it. It's just that the apps, they all have their own logic to it, their own like whatever the developer was thinking when he made these interfaces, and you really have to kind of abide by their logic. Like how did they see things? It's kind of like art, basically. How did they, what kind of thought process they go through when they made it the way they made it. What was I gonna do? Yeah, I might be reaching that point where it's not so smooth because I'm doing a lot of talking. Oops. Oh, see that actually crashed right now. The phone crashed, as in the app just shut down. Like it was too much. It was too much for it to take. But then I could just start it again. See how it's reloading? It's because it crashed again. So I'm pretty much reaching the limits of our so-called advances in science, advances in technology. And really, it's because of how things are built. They're built very linearly, and they're built. There's like a difference between. I think we mistaken complex, like a complex, which is like a one thing attached to another thing attached to another thing. But it's almost like we feel just because something is complex, like it has a series of things, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's complicated. Like it still can be easily known, right? It's like a pattern. Instead of 3 notes, it's a pattern of like, say 8 notes, right? But if it's like a well-made pattern, like you still know the 8 notes. In fact, you can say entire melodies, right? Just because it's catchy or whatever it is. I don't know. That's music stuff that I'm completely don't know anything about for some reason. But so just be a complex or complex. If you look it up, it's just a word. It's just a structure, a complex. And complicated is a different word, right? It's not the same thing. Complicated is like what we have. We base things, we create things that are complicated, and we think that is as advanced as something that's complex. Meaning, you're from, you're able to build longer bridges, basically. But I feel like we've mistaken complex for complicated. And we value things that are complicated. But complicated things don't build big bridges. Like there's no logic to it. There's no set order. There's no rhythm or melody. As in you have to memorize those plans. it's not very efficient. It's not very like the thing, another project I want to do later on. Depending on what lands is more most relevant is getting how far removed we are from getting an intuitive sense of things. And this does connect to what the subject I'm talking about, in that we have our so-called advances in this world are basically like this thing, or our tendency to I had a good wording of this, but it's not with me right now. But how we like to make a lot of middlemen. This is not. I had a way better way of saying this, but this is what I have now. It's as in we make a lot of things removed from us, right? Like rather than all things can be known by one person, it's like we give up that ability to get it and say, oh, only a doctor will know this, only this person, only somebody in law will know this, right? And that's kind of how we build things, as if it's outside of us, it's outside of our one ability. And so the idea that someone would merge all these things it's only for those that are great or whatever, like somebody with increased mental capacities and stuff. And how that's really it's all an excuse, because you can test all this stuff. It's not anything like it's not anything complicated, right? Like I feel like these are like simple things. Like you don't need, electron microscopes that are $100 million, that this plasma, this, all that. When you can just observe it, like right there, like just make an example of it, make a model and just test it. Like it's so simple. Like it's not that hard, guys. But I'm always like having to, or maybe it's my fault, and I guess I didn't articulate enough, which is weird because I swear I articulate way too much. But or I don't know what it is. But just to close out that point, um, like the idea that okay, it would be too much. Like you're taking ideas that are a doctor's domain, and then with a lawyer's domain, and then this person's, and for somebody to have the gall to like say anybody can pick all those up, which to that person would be like, oh, having a doctor's degree and having this degree and all that, right? But I could just say, you know what? Years ago we had biology, and we had this technology, these technological people, right? And it's not what tech is today, which is more like apps and software, but more about just being able to be computer literate, right? And how biology people were almost like the opposite of technology people. They were more with the organic things of like biology, yeah. And how tech at that time, I could probably come up with a better example because tech is something else now, and you guys might think it's like Google and all that stuff, when it wasn't that before. There was only like Microsoft probably. But the idea that biology and tech were two different, almost opposites. In fact, subject matter it was. It's like computers versus organics, right? And how like in this day, it's very normal to think of biotechnology, right? It's like not. It's almost hard for me to separate that right now. And isn't that the same thing that you just said? Like it's something that's out there you can test, just find the right model, and it exists. It's not that complicated. And I feel like that would just throw that argument to rest. It's like, dude, yes, you can connect doctor knowledge and whatever account knowledge with babysitter knowledge, basically, whatever domain that we happen to like want to separate and make separate from us. Like not, you know, I wish I had a better way of saying this. It was like really smooth too. It's like it's opposite of when I say everything can be known to someone. All is known to one person, basically. Meaning, if we built things and organized knowledge around that idea, where things you would get it to an intuitive level where it can be known, right, by simply experiencing it, not by talking about it or explaining it, which is really a representation of a representation, right? It's now you're removing that ability to know it when you do representations, and that's why words create certain societies and how. And this is gonna be hard for mainstream because this is a little bit woo woo, I would admit, and this is not normally what I would do in these levels where I'd prefer to be more pragmatic because that's the audience that I'm speaking to. But in ancient cultures, or the ones that we don't even know, they opted not to do written language and instead went with oral traditions, which is more the feminine version of things because they knew already. And this is, it's kind of like startling to me, like these people, the ancients or whatever, they knew these things. I said, what the heck? Like how, why, like, dude, I felt like hearing that feels like, oh my god, we're so primitive. Like I could feel the whole monkeyness, like the whole oh these like monkeyness in doctor suits, right? Like thinking we're so smart, we know all these things, and then there's these people who are like, dude, they're just like, nah, bruh. We didn't want to do that language stuff. We didn't want to do the written word stuff because all you guys do is focus on like deeds and accomplishments, and you don't actually get to like revel in the actual life, the play itself, right? We end up putting more emphasis on things like after death and how we put all our heaven after death instead of what's here right now. Um, like like life is like so hard, and this one is, I'm speaking to an audience that knows this because I think I told some stories of it. But just how we miss out on all these things when it is easily had if you just enjoyed the process of life, right? Like you can't help but notice and get all these things when you're actually loving life or in life. But when you don't, right, you just want to get it over with. You just want to get to the next part. Or it's not even that. It's like even in learning when you have a curriculum, right? How you miss out on all these things that are there. Like you're at some point you probably accidentally rotated the pencil, right? And it's because we have a curriculum that you're supposed to do this, get to here, get to that. Whereas this is what I would call open-ended learning versus directive or objective learning. Or I'm trying to come up with terms, and there's a reason why. Um, when I'm in the open-ended learning, it's like everything is a learning, right? And had I set out with a certain picture in mind that I was going to learn or restricted myself to, I wouldn't be able to do these things. Oh man, I gotta fix that camera. Maybe if I do this. Nope. Boo. Technology, you fail. You're supposed to like auto rotate. At least that's what it's advertised as. Oh, and it crashed. And just the idea that I can go and switch planes and go here, it's actually kind of normally would be hard. I know there's times where it was hard. I think this is it. So this is like getting out of this universe of the stream and getting to like the back, the back, what is it? The behind the scenes, where strings and stuff are not assumed in this presentation, but how doing that might result in me fixing the little stylistic um, problem. Oh, not that one. That's just that app, an app that let's see, the debut. Oh, I'm getting longer pauses. I probably need to exit this form of thinking. See, it kind of worked. I think it kind of worked. Like the screen is. Aw. Why? Why? Okay. Anyways, if I turn it, what would happen? Wait. Oh, it's blank again. Why? Oh, I know why. Aw. It's frozen. Okay. Now, if you guys knew this is a broken phone that I'm using, like the home button doesn't work and how that was such a problem. Okay. So, what was I saying? I could always edit this so I cut all this part out, but um, just the ability to do this, how this is a thing now for me. Like, it's not. This is not even really using two pencils. It's more like having a support that can make me do things like that, and how doing that with one I could probably do, but it's a little bit more difficult. Whereas having that little constraint to help guide, and how all these little things that I'm doing would require someone to know. Like there's a type of drawing where you're not on the line, right? Like I don't know what it's called. I don't even know the terms for these, but I notice some people could do it, right? Whereas I seem to, if I consciously try, I only draw on the line. Like it's weird. Like how do they know how to leave this blank, right? But I could get that when I'm doing this. Um, so to get back at the start of this endeavor of value, um, perceived value, and the reason why it's important is because if I'm going to do any business endeavor, getting a core knowledge of how to bring out, because most times we're before my previous knowledge of things or model of things would be to create value, right? You just create value, and that'll you know solve this whole like idea of like what's gonna work, Just to me, it's like dude, just create value. It's like at its core, it shouldn't be about all these tactics and all these schemes and everything. If you just know and that you are adding value to this world, you're not just making money off of taxes, off of this, off of that. Like you're not just that those are the things that would burn at me. It's like in the U.S. we measure things by GDP and how supposedly we're so far ahead of everybody, but I can't help but think a lot of our GDP is calculated in things like where licensing, um account like money off of making money, or like things that aren't really adding anything to the world. It's just like a taxing of ourselves. There's a difference between that and somebody cutting someone's hair, right? Where it's an addition to things. It's is more complex. It's like you added a new service to the world, right? Versus when you license something for something and you make money off of licensing what was already done. Or just how do I explain it? I'm not in this flow zone right now, but it's an entire whatever. Like when it becomes relevant, I can come up with something more. What is it? It's like the word for that word. It's a little bit more clever and more like more smooth. Um, I'm thinking it's like a word, like alacrity. I don't know, whatever. See, I'm not in that area, so maybe I should veer off and go back to where I was. But I do want to make that point where I feel like a lot of what we're measuring here are not actual like value, right? It's value because of the system that we made of having to license things and like pay for the right to use and all that. It doesn't like it's. I don't know if anyone gets this. I feel like it's something so simple though, right? It's like the value you get at a new, as somebody creating a new dish, right? Versus somebody who discovered a new star. I mean, the new star we don't really have intuitive knowledge about, right? We don't even know which star that is, especially when they have those things where you name the star. You'd think that would be something so grand. I mean, when I think about it, the concept of it is like, dude, a whole star is named after you? Like, what the heck? Like, a star is like the sun over here, and we have one, right? And how that's just so far removed. Like, even if I try to grasp that intuitively, it just doesn't, you know, it doesn't translate as a value that I can grasp or perceive, even though I can think of it, right? I mean, people have sold it, right? Like they buy whatever star naming things, right? But versus somebody who discovered a new dish, it seems like so plain, right? Oh, I discovered a new thing. But how you can actually get a new experience, just the new taste, just oh my god, and how you can get that over and over repeatedly, and it's a visceral, very real perceived value. And maybe it is one day just a matter of learning to see beyond the stars that we can see, okay, maybe that dish is just this dish and this is a star full of people making new dishes, right? So then, yeah. But until that day, I don't think you could say they equate at all. At all. I like having a new burrito to me is way better than like I don't know. Like especially a new burrito, a new flavor, and just have it like a mix of two cultures. Ugh, dude, that'd be bomb. Uh, versus like what I would think normally I would prefer is to have a whole star. The universes that must surround it, But it's so far removed, and this is not a good example, but because it's mixing up two different concepts. But like I want to hit more on the whole we make money off of taxes, off of counting of processes because we are so like we're so yeah, this must not be the subject because I'm drawing blanks, but we're so, it's almost like it's not addicted, but it's right there. It's like the opposite word of that. Like the way we build things is so removed from us. It's so complicated, not complex. It's not a good melody. It's not in good rhythm. It doesn't, it's not self-reinforcing. It's more like you gotta memorize these things. It's code. The way we code things is not very, it's just coded. Like a set of directions versus a set of principles. And see that one hit, right? Hopefully that would hit. Hopefully. Like you'd get that how you can live by just one or two principles and you would have the direction to go. And for example, the reason why I named this my so-called company so good is the idea of good. Like if I could only impart one thing that you would have to memorize, that you would have to do, that would get me to get through everything in the world, it would just basically be, all right, at any given moment, if I could just recognize what is good, as in what is better but not good, and just choose that, right? That strategy would somehow in the end win out. And that's it. And that's my, I think I've written this down somewhere. Like it's my attempt to make a difference would be to do that. Just promote whatever it is that's good. I know there's like exceptions and people who act like they're good and that that are not good and there's a lot of ways where it could be wrong. But if I were to choose one thing, one principle, one whatever, I just would that would be the bet I would make. And just because I feel there's a slight twist to what's good and what's not, right? It's good people who do good things um, tend to do it with good people, and when good people get together, they create even greater, like gooder things, right? And how everything ought to be neutral, really. But if you play that out, when you put things that are not so good, let's just say bad, for example, it doesn't have to be bad. It could be like not working. It could be like a little bit less, but let's just say bad. Like, okay, when you put bad people with bad people, they don't do the same thing. They don't like support each other and like unless it's like Justice League and the opposite, right? But then again, they always lose. These are tangents. As in, inherently, it's not about a value statement or judgment. It's just in its nature is what it is. It's like that's what it is. A discordant. It's like a entropy versus whatever that's opposite of that, which is a weird word that I know, negentropy or something like that. I don't know. It just feels like what we do. We overcomplicate things, and where you could just call it like life or love or something, right? Um, I need to get back to drawing because I feel like all everyone's looking at is this blob on the screen. Enough talking. Enough talking. I'm losing flow, and I'm now tracking time, which is not good. And I'm losing my little prototypes are falling apart. So I do want to end this on something that's somewhat smooth. So let's just randomly draw, and I'm gonna play some audios. And I do want to end this at a certain time, so by 3 o'clock. So the next 12 minutes, I will just try to adhere, which is hard for me to stick with one thing, but let's see if it works. So I didn't get to read these.
My most favorite
I'm just replying to somebody.
Is Lilith.
Yeah, I know that one.
Absolutely love Lilith, and I don't give a shit about the Bible stories of Lilith because that is
Oh, I have comments already gonna break
out
it.
of the terror of the unknown. And
Terror.
the beauty of Lilith is that that point is unknown. What Arnold calls the great mystery. So the moon moves in an ellipse around the Earth and another point of gravity.
That's the one.
Around the Earth, around that point of gravity, and around the Earth and that point of gravity.
To me,
it
it's
doesn't always do the same ellipse. It's a shifting
to
one.
me it's two unknowns
It has
meeting
rhythms.
at a certain point, and that's more real than. Oops. I couldn't help it, guys. Okay, maybe I can. Oh, I can talk between the pauses, right? Let's set that as a rule. Sorry, I make up the rules to the games that I play, like on the fly. So, um, couple things to note. It's funny how this is astrology the way it's thought of in these times is like I would imagine the masses because I was in that point of view too. Because I wasn't really knowledgeable in it, and I still not really, except for I've learned other things that that in turn actually make me look at astrology as something else, like a different point of view. And then from this point of view, then I see how amazing it is, like how more real it is than all this like woo woo that we do, the woo woo that we do that science, like the modern world does, and how I'm starting to have this attitude of, nah, you guys are the ones that are woo woo, like you and your like electrons and your like like conditions of things happening with your strings and like somehow like you guys need to make up your mind because this stuff is a lot easier to know than other stuff. Like I swear, like, I swear if I just really went at it, I could make it like seem so plain. And I believe I might have made one of these before, but I just want to leave it because I don't want to talk the whole 12 minutes on this. But Just the idea that we discovered Lilith around the same time that we discovered the subconscious. The time was like around those Freud times or whatever, and how remarkably accurate that is. And that to me is a holographic principle. It's a nature of the world that we discovered Lilith as a thing about the same time where we discovered our sub whatever Lilith represents is basically what I'm saying. It's in of itself. It's like itself is a thing. It's like a larger level of synchronicity, right? Which is basically on a larger level that is basically just what we are, right? Like that's just there's no other way it can work than that, right? Um, and then just to go the opposite way would be like the way fire is, or like a flame to a candle is made. How we think by lighting a candle that maybe one causes the other, but really without oxygen, without that carbon, and without that spark, none of that will be made. Like all those conditions need to have been met in order to make a flame. And it's not one to another. Like one would precede the other. They all have to be present. As in, if you can follow that and get to the other ones, that's what I mean. Which means you'd have to get to the other ones right. So a lot of people out there have a lot of work to do. Just kidding. But, or they can continue thinking I'm the crazy one. But meantime, I'll be drawing and listening to audios.
That invisible point that's like a sister to the earth
Yeah,
is Lilith.
that's the
And
barrel.
people
Okay.
call it Black Moon Lilith. That's completely total bullshit name because it's not a moon. The moon goes around it,
I didn't know
but
that.
it's like a twin of the earth
That is.
Lilith.
Oh my god, that's what I mean.
It's the invisible earth.
I get it. I know what it is.
It's the invisible other.
Yes, that's why I asked about the moon. Talking
And
to.
your chest.
Oh
I
my
have to check your
gosh.
birth details if I have them correct, because that would be important that I'm not making mistakes there. But
Talking
to
to the
me,
moon.
that's the dark one. But dark in a beautiful way.
Yep.
That's full of mystery.
Well, oh gosh. Wow, it's like I only got. It's funny how I can act like I know so many things, and how like those things, like I had all the pieces of it, but not the one that puts it into like. I just need a second. I think I just I probably just have to finish this because I'm gonna need more than a second. But maybe I can help close this out by during one of my journeys to escape this place, which is kind of what I'm repeating now. And it's such a dumb part of the story, but it was so very prominent, and it was such a big deal that it crept into the more recent one, and even from that, I was able to create something out of it. But it was kind of disjointed, and I maybe because I didn't know what that meant, what the moon, why I was always looking to the moon. Oh my god, those things.
know you're somewhere out there, somewhere far away. I want you
Because
back.
maybe it's the scarcity
I
thing,
want you
where I
back.
didn't have access to much, but yeah, I can
My
still
neighbors think I'm crazy,
disagree. Like I
but
didn't
they
let that
don't
stop me from being crazy.
understand.
No,
You're all I had.
so somehow I
You're
made this
all
into
I
a medium it
had.
would be expressed in,
At
and how
night
that
when
is
the
stupid.
stars
It is.
light
It's like
up my
it just
room,
shows like your
I sit
ability
by
of like
myself,
to still create
talking to
regardless.
the
I know it's pretty
moon, trying to
twisted.
get to you.
I just close this up.
In hopes you're on the other side, talking to
So
me
part of this
too.
is
Or am I a fool who sits alone, talking to the moon? Oh,
I know you're somewhere out there, somewhere far away. I want you back. My neighbors think I'm crazy, but they don't understand.
I know you're somewhere out there, somewhere far away. I want you back. I want you back. My neighbors think I'm crazy, but they don't understand. You're all I had. You're all I had. At night when the stars light up my room, I sit by myself, talking to the moon, trying to get to you.
So this is what I let.
In hopes you're on
I think
the
in that
other
one video
side,
in Discord, they're talking
talking
about
to
how he
me
just let this
too.
character play out, which is kind of what would happen. What I call dream-like states. Like it seems like I was okay with things, and I would just play out and be okay with it. And so this huge story unfolds, and how the inner child and then the earth, and it played. I know it was. I'm gonna take off the microphone. See how it's hard to explain, but see how thing that I made that stops that from happening. Anyways, so but anyways, all these stories played out just because I allowed it, or was somehow got in that state. Maybe it started from that part where I just allowed myself to go to the part, which is weird to say, but because he saw the whole picture, it was because it was dark, and that was an awkward thing to do. How even in those words, that little story, if you would just kind of dive in and experience it, a whole world will be open to you, basically. And that was like that night where I came on this like suddenly I saw constructs and assumptions and implications and how that it only took that little thing for me to open that whole world, and how now that changes the way I see things and how I build all these things because I see the constructs and how really it is what I said, like, and it's hard for other people to get till they get here, but that all things could be known to you, right? You know, I didn't need to study constructs. I didn't need to go to like, all these things, and that it would be the littlest things if we just like experienced it and allowed yourself to be. And why I keep those words. What is it like? Allow yourself to come apart. And how I, between those two phrases, I found that little portal where that is, and I actually do have video of this somewhere, and how I kept going back and forth, like how they didn't match. It didn't match what I was saying, or the feeling didn't match what I was, and there was this discordance, as if coming apart feels like it's something else, like it's a bad thing, right? But that's not what the actual experience is.
A promise made in the
The
dark,
coming apart is a
lit by
value
a
judgment,
single flame.
and this would have
A
to, I could
desperate
connect
prayer
this
for
now with
guidance, for direction, for a sign. And in return,
I could
a
connect
vow
this
to one
with,
day build a shrine in the name of all who are
with the whole
hopeless.
path stuff that I keep finding. Is when society deems a story a certain way and makes judgments of it when they're not in it themselves. And how that is like a telling of a story that is not the story that she wanted to tell, but is forced to because nobody else. You know, now it's a story of a teenage drama queen or something like that who commits suicide, and because they can't control themselves, right? That's not what she's saying. Like, it's not a confessional, and that's why I take offense to it. Okay, this is too much. Yeah, I don't, the whole I laugh at the idea. It's a confessional poetry or something like that. Like, I think to honor that, I would make it more of a discovery, like explorational, as in she's discovering worlds, and it's because we tend to like things neat and orderly, which is really boxing yourself up in these things that don't exist, and how we tend to not include things that should exist. And that's the reason why people have a lot of problem dealing with things, because we already judge things to be not worthy, evil, all these other weird things that don't exist, that we just create, that cause things like people's stories become a suicidal runaway versus being a creative force. And this is a weird tangent I made because I like my other tangent better. Just kidding. Make it rain. Oh man. If you were my girl. Okay, I gotta go, but I'm gonna play that last song again because I want to try an effect. If you And it's already 3 of course I missed my deadline. I need to go out and do stuff. But I can always edit this so it's under. So again, I cheat by making solutions.
I know you're somewhere out there, somewhere far away.
If you guys knew like what I was able to do with this stupid song, just the notes and how it led to so many things. Like, oh my goodness, what the hell is this, bro? It's because the inner child thing is just so damn like, oh my god, it's so hard to catch up. It creates and creates like crazy, like, and it becomes things, like becomes real things. It's allowed to create. So this would be talking to that other self that was somewhere out there, somewhere above. And I remember being so dramatic too, like leaving this and going along with this new place, and this is all I had to hold on to. It was like this mood. It was so stupid. Everything, even all these verbs.
know you're somewhere out